I want everyone to raise your hand if you ever heard of or read any of these books. Okay? Harry Potter, The Diary of Anne Frank, The Da Vinci Code, The Hunger Games, To Kill a Mockingbird, Twilight, My Sister's Keeper, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Of Mice and Men, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now look around. All of you are at least familiar with these books. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Now, what do all of these popular novels have in common? According to the official Banned and Challenged Books website, each of them have either been challenged or banned within the past decade. The American Library Association defines a challenged book as being a formal written complaint filed with a library or school requesting the approval of the book due to content or appropriateness. Removal of the book due to content or appropriateness. The ALA also states that within the decade following the year 2000, 5,099 books were challenged to the Office of Intellectual Freedom. 5,099. Some common arguments made by challenges include offensive language, or as expressed like in The Catcher in the Rye. Offensive sexual references, for example, in The Great Gatsby. Racially offensive. Apparently, Little House on the Prairie was racially offensive. Too depressing. Anne Frank. Unsuitable for age group. An example, Captain Underpants. Violence, as seen in The Hunger Games. Religious viewpoints, like in Harry Potter. Homosexuality in The Color Purple. Satanic themes, as apparently in Bridge to Terabithia. Think back to when you first learned how to ride a bike. Did your parents only let you ride your bike with training wheels forever, or at least hold you the whole time? Of course not. They let you learn through, falling or scraping your knee until you finally learned how to ride your bike without any help or any training wheels. Because think if they never had. You would never learn how to ride a bike if you're just constantly with your training wheels on. The same thing goes for when you first heard a curse word. Did your ears bleed, and are you scarred for life because you heard an explicit word? Of course not. Now you know that these words have a negative connotation. They're harsh and cruel. But if you had never learned that they were bad words, you would never know. You would be blind to it. And in the end, it would cripple you. The same principle applies to literature. If we are never going to expose our children to, quote, negative, unpopular, unorthodox themes, they'll never know how to perceive the world around them. Not only is it the author's American right to write what they want to, it is the reader's right to read what they choose to read. My name is Rebecca Logsdon, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about the importance of promoting the freedom to express one's opinions through literature. Though literature might appear unconventional at times, these questionable opinions are protected by our First Amendment right. They are also an essential tool for students to be able to defend their own values and beliefs. And lastly, the opinions expressed in literature teach readers valuable life lessons. So first of all, the First Amendment. It protects U.S. citizens' right of freedom of expression from government interference. Now, Cornell University Law School defines the First Amendment as being freedom of expression, consisting of the rights of freedom of speech, press, and then the implied rights of association and belief. It is our freedom to say what we want, write what we want. No one can hold you back. You can say and express yourself the way you feel. Local school boards this is what the Supreme Court is working on now. They're saying that local school boards may not remove books from library shelves simply because they dislike the ideas contained in the books. So they are making efforts to preserve people's First Amendment right to read and write as they choose. Now, school boards can't restrict the availability of books to students only based on what they feel is right and wrong. They're now keeping it open, or they're at least supposed to be keeping it open for students to be able to read what they want to read. School boards cannot restrict the First Amendment keeps the government from controlling our individual religion, our ideas, and the availability to express his or herself. Students have the right to read what they choose to read. It is our American right. Along with the First Amendment, literature enables a reader to become better rounded on world issues, and in turn enables the reader to be able to defend his or her own values and opinions. Books spark passion within us. Like for me, one of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou, she writes a lot about being a confident African American woman, and it really just sparked that passion in me, being confident in who I am. And books have that power on us. And Maya Angelou was criticized by Virginia natives of Parents Against Bad Books in Schools for, quote, having profanity and being sexually explicit conduct. Who is to say that a young girl is not experiencing that? And reading that literature lets her understand she is not alone. By taking that away, children feel vulnerable. They don't know what's around and what other people are going through. Children and young adults cannot attempt to defend their own personal beliefs if they're being spoon-fed what to believe by adults and teachers. They will only spout back to you what you tell them. So let them explore the world. Let them find understanding of what else is out there. You cannot defend what you believe if you don't know what someone else believes. It's like with being a Christian. You have to study the Bible. You have to know what the Bible says to know what you believe, and you also have to understand why people don't believe what you believe, because it puts what you believe in perspective. Lastly, literature has the power to teach readers valuable life lessons. Literature is meant to be interpreted. What I've seen in a book may not be what you interpret from a book. That's the beauty of literature. It has the ability to remind us of the past, to put things in perspective for us. And sometimes books that get criticized are criticized because they reveal kind of negative things in the past. And that's okay, because with the heaven there's a hell, with the good there's the bad. And that's just part of life. If we filter everything our children read, they will only perceive the world in narrow perspectives, kind of like how a horse has blinders. We're putting blinders on our children if we deny them the right to read. They will only see what is being presented to them when there's a world out there. An example of this, Anne Frank. It was said it was too depressing. Well, the Holocaust happened. The Holocaust was not a happy time. And Anne Frank wrote that personal diary. She wasn't writing it to get published. She was writing it to get her feelings out there. And then we got a hold of it in publishing. But that's firsthand experience. And to say that that's too depressing for a child to read, if a child is that same age as Anne Frank, it puts their life in perspective, and they see the world. They look at history, because literature is history. We get history from literature. Life is not full of happiness. There's a dark side to everything, and that is just a fact. You can't deny that. And children should not be blind to this honest truth, because it will cripple them in the end. So in conclusion, in the wise words of famous children's author Judy Blume, she says, "Let children read whatever they want and then talk about it with them. If parents and kids can talk together, we won't have as much censorship because we won't have as much fear." Books are knowledge. They allow us to escape our everyday humdrum life and gain perspective on the world around us. Children are thirsty for knowledge. Why deny them their American right to read a plethora of books? If children are not exposed to the hot topics going on right now, they will never learn right from wrong, good versus evil, or any other outlooks apart from their own individual life. Similar to the plot in the popular book Fahrenheit 451, author Rad Bradbury writes about how books remind us of our past mistakes and our past triumphs. We need to, quote, stuff our eyes with wonder through literature to see the world in a more fascinating light than you yourself could ever possibly imagine alone. We're constantly taking in things that shape us to be the individual we are today. I'm going to leave you with this thought before I show you this short video. Where would you be today without literature? Without any books, where would you be? Literature is as simple as a private journal you're writing right now that you might look back on in 50 years and remember your thought process now, who you are as a person. Literature can be also American classic novels with authors that have the ability to illustrate beautiful pictures without a single visual picture. Books are knowledge, and knowledge is power. Thank you.